So I guess this is it, huh?
Yeah. This is it.
I need you to promise me something. If I don't make it, you'll get this done, right?
We'll get this done, Carver. You and me.
Yeah, but if I don't... I helped get us this far. And that's close enough for all this to count, right?
Welcome to another Gaming Dragon Reviews. Today I invite you to join me as we take a look at Dead Space 3, the latest title from Visceral Games. Continuing the story of protagonist Isaac Clarke, Dead Space 3 reintroduces the players to the dark and desperate future of the human race, where our only hope is an emotionally broken space engineer with a bad attitude and a plasma cutter. But can this latest title in the series offer enough to draw players back to the Dead Space franchise, or will it be left for dead? Well, let's take a look. As with any great game, story is the cornerstone of the experience, and Dead Space 3 delivers, offering some excellent real-time graphical storytelling through dialogue and transmissions, as well as some spectacular pre-rendered cutscenes. Dead Space 3 does a wonderful job at weaving a desperate tale of survival, horror, and hope against all odds. Emotionally broken after his previous experience of dealing with the markers and the dreaded necromorphs, Isaac is nonetheless thrown into a desperate situation on a world-ending scale. The game follows our protagonist as he's thrown back into that world of horror he has been trying to escape. Without giving away any key story arcs, I will say that if you've played previous Dead Space titles, you will enjoy the grand scale of the story in Dead Space 3. The game tries hard to build an emotional connection with players, wanting us to connect and relate to Isaac as he battles his way through desperation in an attempt to rise above. For the most part, the game succeeds, and only a few times did I find myself wishing for a skip scene button.
It means for someone who's in the past, you're awfully glad to see him.
We need him. This mission needs him.
We need him or you need him?
Visually, this game is stunning, with almost seamless transitions between pre-rendered CGI and the real-time graphics. Some of the landscapes are of a grand scale, but I didn't notice any frame rate issues at all during the playthrough. All in all, Dead Space 3 is a gorgeous looking game. Gameplay feels much more fluid than previous titles in the series, with better response times and cleaner animations. Combat feels faster and better paced. I did notice a much needed improvement overall in the gameplay experience, much in the same way that Mass Effect 2 was a huge improvement in combat over its predecessor. The controls are similar to previous titles, and kind of fall under the theme of if it isn't broken, don't fix it. The option for a game controller is present, and functions quite well, but as is expected, doesn't work quite as well as a mouse for aiming and movement. That being said, using a controller for the title is still an excellent option for those that prefer the gaming peripheral. The game offers some excellent minigame challenges in the form of security terminals that need to be rewired, power levels that need to be balanced, and computer terminals that need to be hacked, just to name a few. Also present are the ever-famous QuickTime events, which do add some nice gameplay appeal, both in functionality and visuals. Using the standard mash this key or hold that key approach, it does offer a break from the standard aim, shoot, run combat that takes up the majority of the gameplay. During my playthrough, I did come across a couple minor annoyances that caused moments of frustration and risked the safety of my keyboard, as the desire to pitch it out the window was almost overwhelming. On occasion, I found the QuickTime events to be non-responsive, leading to my ultimate demise. This became an issue when I came up against one area in particular and ended up respawning several times before finally mashing the E key hard enough that I was able to complete the event. The other issue I ran into was connected to aiming and firing at incoming necromorphs. On occasions, if a necromorph got too close, any shots I took at it would completely miss, leaving me with less ammo and nothing to show for it except a quickly depleting health meter. It didn't happen all the time, but enough that I started carrying weapons with a flamethrower attached, because fire doesn't care how close something is, it will still burn things. However, in the grand scheme of the game, these are but minor details, and in no way were deal breakers during my playthrough. A feature that made the experience amazing was the customization. I have to be honest and say that I'm not traditionally a crafter in games. I like to pick up a gun, dispatch an enemy, and move on. It's a simple but effective strategy for first-person shooters that has served me well in my 22 years of gaming experience. However, Dead Space 3 may have finally converted me to a lifestyle of a crafter. Or at least convinced me that there's merit in taking 3 minutes to attach a shotgun to the bottom of my rivet gun. Crafting and customization in Dead Space 3 is some of the best I have seen in recent years. Gearing up is a huge part of the game, and it was nice to see that your rig, or combat suit, is completely upgradable. And one of my favorite parts about that is that all of your upgrades you pour into your rig are transferable to any rig you decide to wear. Weapons are a whole other beast altogether. Striking a fine balance between streamlined and sophisticated, the crafting engineers over at Visceral Games have applied the right science to make it all come together. Offering a huge amount of customization, you can quite literally build any combination you can think of. With the option to add customized mods, tips for the barrel, different stocks, and multiple types of weapon sources, the options are pretty much limited by your creativity only. Plus, with your scavenger bots, the bulk of your materials are collected for you, leaving you free to do the more important things. You know, like saving the world and stuff. Hands down, this is the second best feature in Dead Space 3. Now this of course begs the question of what is the best feature of Dead Space 3? There are a lot of solid offerings here that could hold the mantle of best feature, as it is a really well-rounded experience. However, in my opinion, the best feature is one that really needs to be shared with a friend, and in this case, in the form of a co-op buddy, who can join you on your world-saving efforts. The best part is that co-op has been woven into the game from the ground up. Everything you collect and construct carries over to the co-op experience, and customization mods for weapons can be installed that actually give a benefit to your partner, be it in the form of transferable health, extra damage, or ammo sharing, just to name a few. Looting is designed that everyone gets a copy of whatever item is picked up, making for a wonderfully synergistic experience for the team. As much as I enjoyed the single-player experience, I would have to say that having a partner brings a whole new dynamic of enjoyment to the experience. Having gushed about all the wonderful features in Dead Space 3, I do have to make one confession. This game is hard. In fact, it's hardcore. What I mean is that it offers a few different levels of difficulty. So for those new to this series, or find that they walk the casual side of the gaming line, you'd do well to hang out on the normal difficulty. This game takes skill, and in some cases a few tries to get through some of the areas. There are other levels of difficulty, hard and impossible, just to name a few. And after completing the game, you are offered an opportunity to start a new game plus, which allows you to start with all your full inventory and upgrades from the previous game. It does offer some replay and a nice mix to gameplay. Overall, Dead Space 3 takes what is great about the last two titles and improves all around. With smoother gameplay, more customization, and co-op, this is a AAA title that really lives up to the hype. If you are a fan of the series, you'll feel right at home in this larger scale, more diverse game. If you're new to the series, Dead Space 3 does a pretty solid job at introducing you to the series without making you feel like you have to have Wikipedia open just to keep up. If you're interested in picking up Dead Space 3, why don't you head over to GamingDragons.com. Well, that's it for today. I'm Matt, and thanks for watching.